you have this. And then to get the derivative, we need to get the reciprocal, right? And then using the chain rule, we have this. 1 over ln sine x times 1 over sine x times cosine x. O yung mga hindi nakakuha nito, wag muna kayong umalis kasi ito lang ito, sa umpisa lang ito. Ayan. Ang tanong, if you know the derivative of the function that I showed you earlier, does it mean that you already know the big ideas of calculus? Okay, let's check. What's the graph? Okay, if you're curious what the graph is, ito yon. Okay, so I used Casio calculator. Okay, probably later on you'll know more about the calculators, but I'll focus on the topic for now. So if I graph that, this is the graph. Okay, maybe before I present to you the graph, think of what do you think would the graph look like? Okay, so this is how it looks like. So, ayan. Nagulat ba kayo? Ba't parang walang graph? Maybe it's because of the scaling or zoom in masyado. Pero sa totoo lang, yan po talaga yung graph. Nakikita nyo na sa harap. Okay. So what's the point of getting the derivative if there's no graph? Diba? So ibig sabihin, it does not mean that if you know how to get the derivative, it's meaningful. And just to prove to you na hindi naman ako nagloloko, it's not because the calculator is not working. The calculator can actually graph. Like for example, here you have y equals sine x. And you notice it's always between negative 1 and 1, the y. Okay, pag kinuha niyo yung ln nun, ln of sine x, the graph is always negative. Kaya nga naman, pag kinuha niyo yung ln ng negative, undefined. That's the reason why we have this graph, the non-existent. So, enough of that. What I just wanted to show you was, even if you're very good in computation or you're very good in getting the derivative, it does not mean that what we know is meaningful. In fact, aminin na natin, okay, even a 10-year-old child, you can teach a grade 4 child how to get the derivative of polynomial functions. So katulad ng mga ito, you have y equals 3x to the 4th minus 2x squared plus 30 and so on. Di ba madali lang naman kunin yung derivative? Imagine niyo kung may anak kayo, 10 years old, kayang-kaya siyang turuan. 3 times 4, di ba? All of the processes that you need are just multiplication and addition. So kayang-kaya. But if a child can do calculus or if a child can compute derivatives, does it already mean that they know the big ideas of calculus? Hopefully, you don't agree with that. Na hindi naman kasi yung calculus yung pagkuha lang ng derivative at yung pag-manipulate lang ng symbols. It's much more than that. So let me proceed. What is calculus for? Is calculus really about just being experts of formulas? So what is calculus for? And how is calculus different from algebra? Okay, so probably do sa mga nagtuturo ng calculus, nagtuturo rin kayo ng algebra. So ano nga ba pinagkaiba nila? And how do they relate to each other? Okay, so next question. Mas madali na ito. What is the slope of the line that you see in front of you? Okay, so how fast does the graph rise? Okay. So hopefully you have the answer on your head or maybe type it down as a comment. So what is the slope of the graph? The slope is always 3. And in using the words of calculus, the rate of change or the rate at which the graph changes is always 3. Anong meaning ng always 3? Bakit always 3? Balikan natin. Kasi laging 1:3 yung ratio ng run to rise. So it's always 1:3. Okay. Therefore, this is what we will call an algebra problem. Simply getting the slope. Okay. But calculus is much more powerful. Okay. If I ask you, how fast does the graph rise? In the first example, the answer was 3. Okay. Ngayon, pagtanungin ko kayo, how fast does the graph rise? Okay. Actually, well, the answer depends on which x we're looking at. So, it could be this. Okay. Actually, here the graph is going down, okay, or flat, slope is 0. So it depends on where you're looking at. If you're looking at the left part, then the graph is going down, okay? But then if you're looking at this x, then it's moving up a bit, and then here the graph is rising faster. So this is now a calculus problem. So I hope this clarifies one difference between calculus and algebra. For algebra, we can only analyze lines. We can only analyze how fast a line rises. But for calculus, it's much more powerful. You can analyze how fast a curve rises or goes down. So you notice also that in the previous slide, all the pictures calculus, you know that tangent lines form one major topic of calculus. Bakit nga ba? Bakit mahalaga ang tangent line? Anong kinalaman ng tangent line sa rate of change? Remember, my question earlier was, how fast does the graph rise? Why are we looking at tangent lines? Okay. So how are tangent lines related to rates of change of the graph? Gaano kabilis umaakyat ang graph? Let's zoom in. So it's still the same graph, but we're zooming in. Okay, zoom in more. Okay, notice what's happening. What if we zoom in again? Okay, zoom in pa. This is what technology can do. Okay, if you zoom in, makita ninyo where is the tangent line and where is the graph. Oh, kanina ganito eh. But if you zoom in and continue zooming in, basically the tangent line and the graph are almost the same. You cannot distinguish them from each other. They're virtually indistinguishable. And because it's now a line, then you can use algebra. Oh, mukha na siyang line. The tangent line is now, you can see a zoomed in version of the curve. This is actually the curve. Okay, and the slope is easily seen to be 2. Okay, therefore, the first problem that calculus concerns itself with is about the slope of the tangent line. Okay. However, there is a problem. Okay, so those who are teaching calculus, we know this. How can we compute the slope? Eh di ba ang slope formula kailangan 2 point. Eh dito isang point lang. This is specifically the point 22. Paano natin kukunin ang slope? We only know 1 point. So let me show you a visualization. Okay, here. So here, you see the tangent line. Okay. Organizers, please just tell me if my screen cannot be seen. So now I'm showing a screen of a graph with a tangent line. All right. Okay. Again, what's the problem? We only know 1 point. How can we get the slope? We only know 1 point. What point is this? It's the point x equals 3, y equals, what is y? So hanapin natin, where in the screen can we find y? So it's here. Y, or f of x, is equal to 1/4 times x squared. So just square 3. So you have 9/4. So 9/4. Yan po yung ating y. Okay, tanong, paano natin makuha yung slope? So we have to use another point. Let's have an auxiliary point. So this is another point. Now we have 2 points. We have the point x equals 3, y equals 9/4, and we have the origin 0, 0. Now you can compute the slope of the green line. Okay, it's actually seen here. It's 0.75 over 1 or 0.75. So ayan siya. Okay. O balik tayo sa problem natin. The problem was, how can we get the slope of the tangent line, which is red? Ang ginawa nating technique, ang kinuha nating slope yung green. Of course, some of you may argue, paano nangyari yun? Eh, ang gusto kong kuning slope, yung red, mali naman yung slope ng green kasi magkaiba silang line. So this is where calculus comes in. Diba? So we can actually, we can make the change in Sorry if I think if I'm sharing my screen, the animation does not work. But this is h equals -3. This is the distance between the 2 points we chose. There's no reason why we should choose those 2 points na malayo. So dapat ang gagawin natin, palapitin natin. So like what I showed earlier, it's basically making, looking at something closer and closer. So what if, imagine nyo na lang, okay, imagine that this point gets closer and closer to the yellow point, then the green line and the red line will have the same slope. Okay, now you can see the slope here. It's 1.5/1. So I think you can readily search in the internet. There are so many dynamic apps like this where you can actually vary this and then you see the lines move. Okay, sorry, I cannot do that right now, but you can explore further. But what I can show you is this. Okay. Nowadays, we can use calculator so that students can focus on the ideas rather than on doing the actual computation. So here, let's consider the same function as before. So I'll open my emulator. So here, there. So we go to table. So this is vector, statistics, distribution, spreadsheet table, all right? And then we type in the function that we had earlier. It's 1/4 x squared. I'll just type 0.25 times x squared. So those of you who have this calculator, you can join in. So type 0.25 times x squared and then equals. Okay. I don't need a second function to consider, so I'll just skip this. And then I can start with a starting number and an end. But later on, actually, you can still modify it. What do I mean by that? So if you click equals, then you see the x values start at 1, then they change by 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, because the calculator already gives the y values very quickly, then you can focus on the big idea. So if x is 1, then this is y. Ngayon, kanina in the graph, you saw x equals 0. So pwedeng, you can just type over that. Makakuha nyo naman. Okay, what if x is equal to 0.5? Ayan, so you can get, and so on. So 0.9. So very easy. And then when you scroll, you can also see the number if you want more decimal places. So yun po. Okay. Okay. And also, another function that you see here, another function that you see here will be the QR code. So how do you get the QR code? It says here, you just click shift option, shift option, you have a QR code, okay? So I'll pause this screen for a while. Those of you with smartphones or Android phones with a QR code scanner, try scanning this and then see what will you find. Okay? Sige, I'll give time. Baka hinahanap nyo pa yung smartphone nyo. Okay? Tapos, tapat nyo lang sa screen. So surprisingly, this is one of the, actually this is one of the newer features in the Casio calculator that I didn't know will actually bring you to the Casio website. So if you scan this QR code, you will be brought to this website. So here, you actually have the graph. So kunwari iniisip natin, ay yung graphing calculator natin, walang graph. Actually, pwede siya. Yan, i-QR code nyo lang and then you can see the graph. Now, back to my problem earlier. Kasi, the question was, how will I get the slope of this tangent line? So this is, again, another problem where you can use your calculator. So in classrooms, we don't really need to use a spreadsheet. Like a spreadsheet would need a laptop. Pwede na pala yung calculator. So let me show to you, okay, how to find the slope of the tangent line using that, using the calculator. Ano nga ba yung slope? May final answer na tayo actually dito, itong pula. The slope of the tangent line is given by the slope of this line, which is rise over run. The slope is 1.5. So how do we do it? Okay. Hang on. So now we move to spreadsheet. If you haven't used spreadsheet before, I will give a demonstration so that you also can apply this to other topics as well. All right? So in the simulation earlier, H was -3. So malayo yung dalawang points, di ba? Nasaan na nga ba tayo? It's hard to find the slope of the tangent line because there's only one point. So ang technique natin, we will use 2 points. But we will make the 2 points as close together as possible. Okay? Well, not exactly the same point kasi kung hindi, wala, 1 point lang yun. But just make them close. So how close? Let's make them 1 unit apart. And then in another instance, let's make them 0.1 units apart. 0.01, okay, even closer, smaller than 0.01, let's say 0.001. Maybe I'll just stop here. Kasi I think that's enough. Okay. Okay. What's the function again? The function is y equals 0.25 x squared. Okay. And the point that we have is x equals 3. So let's type in 0.25 times x squared, but our x is 3. So 3 squared, ayan. And then we don't have to type that in all the cells. Okay, you can actually use copy and paste. Oops. And then you just press equal so that it can be pasted. Sorry, so ito yung ika-copy paste natin. So option. Wait. Wait. Sorry, let me repeat. So 1.1. Okay. So let's say 0.25 times 3 squared. And then this is the cell we want to copy. So let's copy. And then we put them to the cell that we want to copy from. So just put there. Okay, so this is the height at x equals 3. Okay. Now, what is the height of the graph at x equals 4? So, ang original x natin is 3. Paano kung dagdagan natin ng 1? So, 4. So, we just have 0.25 times, so that we will just use a formula here. So, yeah. So, 0.25 times, okay. So, this is A1. Okay. So, we have 3 plus 1. This is A1 squared. Yeah. And then, wait. 0.25 times 3 plus A1 squared. Yeah. And then we can use the same formula. So again, we use operation, fill formula. The form is, we will type it here, sorry for my mistake. So 0.25 times A1 plus 3 squared. And then we want this to occur from C1 up to C. So you see here. So these are the values. So you can already get the height, and then for the next column, you will get the slope. I won't do that anymore. Those who are interested, you can show you the output. So here. So this is the output when I computed the y values, and then I compute the slope based on these 2 points. And then I see here the slope. The initial slope was 1.75, 1.525, and so on, until the slope reaches 1.5002. And if we continue further, we will see that the limit is 1 point. So yun po. You can actually just take a look at this screen, and then you can see what was done earlier. So the point being, we can use spreadsheets to compute values of functions and slopes. And what I want to emphasize here is the multiple representations. Di ba kanina meron tayong graph? Okay, so that's one part of technology. Next is we have a table. Paulit-ulit actually yan sa DepEd's curriculum guide. Laging represent functions using a graph, an equation, a table, and technology is one effective strategy to really use all those representations. Ayan siya. So, ang next question is, bakit nga ba mahalaga? Bakit ba tayo kuha ng slope ng tangent line? What is it for? Diba? What happens when change varies? This is the main idea. So I have here several examples. Okay, bakit mahalaga ito? Okay. Because unlike lines where the rate of change is always the same, rates of change often vary. In fact, I will show you some calculus concepts in the news. Kasi another representation for a math concept is not just a table, but also real life situation. So ito, pag napapagod na tayo sa math na balik tayo sa real life. It's something more accessible to our students. This is from a newspaper. Okay. Sluggish government spending slowed the growth of Philippine economy. So imagine nyo, the spending slowed the growth of the economy during the first quarter. So if I present to you these graphs, which graph do you think will represent the growth of the Philippine economy? Balik tayo. Slowed the growth. Pag sabing slowed the growth, nag-grow pa ba siya? Or hindi na? O, yun muna. Slowed the growth. So nag-grow siya, but slower. Okay. So which graph do you think can represent the Philippine economy? A, B, C, or D? Okay. Growing. Okay. Growing, pero growing more slowly. So, starting from the left, ito siguro yon. It's growing, but the growth becomes slower. Okay. Oh, another example. Bishops see record decline, bumaba na to, in church weddings, Catholic church weddings. Okay. While debate on the divorce bill rages in Congress, Catholic marriages in the country are on track for a record drop this year and the next. Okay. Record drop in Catholic church weddings. Which graph do you think can represent the drop? Record drop, mas marami na raw drop ngayon. So dati pa nagda-drop, pero mas malaking drop ngayon. Asan kaya yun? Isip mo na. Hopefully you eliminated A and B kasi hindi nag-drop. Again, we always read from left to right. This is the mathematical convention. Read a graph from left to right. So itong dalawa lang. Where do you think is there a record drop? Biglang bumilis yung pagbagsak. So biglang bumilis yung pagbagsak, ito siya. B. Okay? So there are so many things from the news. And the thing that I want to emphasize here is, why is calculus important? Because most of the phenomena that we study have these kinds of graphs, not linear. Mostly, they're changing. So that's the reason why we're studying rates of change in calculus. Okay? Hindi yung puro lines lang. Okay. So one more. In 1990, the fertility rate was 6 per woman in Africa and is expected to decline to about 3 per woman in 2050. if I ask you, what will be the population in Africa? Ano kaya yung population in Africa? Dadami kaya o kokonti? Let's read again. Before, it was 6 per woman. Now, they're still giving birth. Women are still giving birth, but only 3 na lang. So probably, if we graph the population will still increase. O, asan dyan? The population will still increase. Okay, eliminate na natin ito. We eliminate C and D. Population will still increase, so, but slower. So again, here we have B. Okay. So mga ganyan. I won't go through all of this. The point being, you read the newspaper, you will see calculus concepts. So siguro that's another thing you can explore. Pati nga comics. Katulad dito, I saw this Garfield comic from the website. Okay? Ito siya. Sabi ni Garfield, I'm proud to report that I've gained only 1 pound. Lagi siya pinapa-exercise, ayaw niya, but I gained only 1 pound. With Garfield, the goal of a diet is not to lose weight, but to slow down the gain. So ano yung goal ni Garfield? Alin dito ang goal niya? Not to lose weight. Parang mahirap masyado kay Garfield to lose weight. So, hindi na yung weight niya. We eliminate C and D. Garfield cannot lose weight. So, we eliminate C and D. So, let's look at A and B. Ano na lang yung goal niya? Okay? Ano sabi dito? Slow down the gain. So, bagalan na lang yung pag-gain. So, ito na lang, D. Kasi normally, nasa A siya, grabe yung pag-akyat ng kanyang gain. But now, slow down the gain. So, ayan. And, ito, more, recently, and in fact, all of us are affected by this pandemic, which is the reason why we're all in this webinar rather than face-to-face. Talagang ang dami yung makikitang calculus concepts sa COVID. Okay, this is the first. I'll show some others later. What does it mean? Lagi natin naririnig. What does it mean to flatten the curve? Kanina meron kayong nakitang 4 na graph, di ba? So I showed you 4 graphs. Okay? Which of those graphs do you think can best represent the situation we have now in the Philippines? This is the latest until September 17 data. So, mukha siyang graph A. So, sadly, medyo pataas pa talaga. Ayan. Okay. But if you remember, a few days ago, there was a portion na mga 1,000 lang yung increase. So, yan, we slowed down the gain. Unfortunately, we weren't able to maintain it. Kaya mahalaga yung calculus, the rates are changing. It's not just a line. The rates are changing. Okay. So, may time dati na puro 1,000 lang yung increase natin, still increasing. Okay. Tapos ngayon, balik na naman tayo sa getting faster. So, this is one way to analyze the COVID situation using calculus concepts. Different rates. Nagbabago yung speed ng pagtaas. Nasa na ba tayo ngayon? Medyo bumibilis na naman. Ayan. Okay. The second problem in calculus is about finding the area bounded by curves. Why curves? Actually, even during the time of the Greeks, they can already find the areas of rectilinear figures. Ano yung rectilinear figures? Square, rectangle, pentagon, and so on. Pero yung circle, it was a challenge. But even before, Archimedes already had a strategy. Di mo, nung unang panahon pa lang, may strategy sila. How do we find the area of a circle? Kunin ko muna yung area nitong square. Okay. And like the previous example I shown about the tangent line, we start with an approximation. So square. Kaya lang kita nyo yung laki ng error. There's quite a big region between the square and the circle. Why not use more sides? Yan. So you can see that the error sort of smaller. Oh, pag 16 sides, almost you cannot see it. Okay. So how do we find the area of a curve, like region bounded by a curve such as a circle? This was Archimedes' solution. So same thing for calculus. If you have a curve, how do you find the area under the curve? From x equals a, so you see x equals a here below up to b. Paano nga ba kunin yung area dito? Okay? There's no formula for that. But we have formulas for rectangles. Okay, length times width or base times height. So anong technique? O, you just compute base times height, base times height. And like Archimedes solution, there is an error. But again, like Archimedes, may error siya, but we can make the error smaller. How? Okay. So if you're teaching calculus, you know this. How do we make the error smaller? Why do we need to use only 7 rectangles? Pwede naman kasing mas marami, 20. Okay? Or 100. Oh, pag nakuha niyan, the answer that we get here or the approximation is 23.78. Okay. Sige, let's check. Anong palagay ninyo yung area talaga? What's the exact area under the curve? Is it lower or higher than 23.78? O, balik tayo sa kaninang picture. The area under the curve is lower or higher? Dito makita ninyo, the area of under the curve is definitely higher kasi may mga ano. So area under the curve is higher. We still have some regions. So same here. The area under the curve is higher. So meaning this 23.78 here is an underestimate. We expect the area to be higher. Okay. So dito tayo, definite integral. The definite integral, nako, bakit may ganito? The definite integral, we expect this to be a number. Okay? So huwag niyo munang tingnan yan. Nakakatakot siguro yung limit summation. Ito lang muna, f of x times delta x. This is just height times base. Height times base. Balik tayo. Saan dito yung height times base na nakita niyo? Dito tayo. Height times base. So basically, height times base is the area of each individual rectangle. So height times base. O, height times base. Pero dito, pag kinuha niyo yung height times base, ilang rectangle ang i-add niyo yung area? It says here 20. So mag-add kayo ng height times base plus height times base plus height times base. Kaya, meron ditong summation. Height times base plus height times base plus height times base. Ano naman tong limit? As n approaches infinity. O balikan natin yung drawing kanina. Here, n equals 7. N equals 22.89. Okay? Sorry. N equals 7. Kanina 7 rectangles. Now it's n equals 20. Dumami na rectangles. Now it's n equals 100. So you can see if we use higher n, then our approximation can be better. Kaya, limit as n approaches infinity. Why stay with n equals 100? Paramihin pa natin. Ang tanong, nakakapagod naman yon. But is there an easier way? Okay. Well, this is one of the fundamental ideas, big ideas of calculus, the fundamental theorem of calculus. Minsan nadadaanan lang natin ito sa lesson, but it's really, kumbaga, the best idea, I think, in calculus. Fundamental theorem of calculus. This is the long way. You get the sum, height base, height base, height base, that's limit. But there's a shorter way. Ang gawin nyo lang, get an antiderivative of small f, then calculate capital F of B minus capital F of A. Let's apply that to the function that we have. Okay. The function here is y equals x squared plus 1. So ito siya. Y equals x squared plus 1. Anong sabi doon sa steps? Find an antiderivative. Okay, everyone. Think. Give one antiderivative of y equals x squared plus 1. So ito siya. X cubed over 3 plus x. This is one antiderivative. Of course, you can think of others, di ba? Pwedeng x cubed over 3 plus x plus 8 or plus 9. Kaya nga, usually may plus c tayo nilalagay. But anyway, it'll cancel later. Ngayon, substitute nyo 4. Oh, substitute nyo 4, di 64. Okay, plus 4, and then now substitute 1. The answer is 24. This is now the exact area. And you can notice that this is an underestimate as we analyzed earlier because the exact value is 24. So ayan siya. Balikan natin na what were we discussing? How do you find the area under the curve? The method inspired by Archimedes is you get the areas of several rectangles, paramihin nyo yung rectangle, kakapagod siya, kaya nagkaroon tayo ng shortcut. Ano yung shortcut? Just get an antiderivative and then substitute B and then A. When I learned this in first year, sobra akong nagulat kasi the antiderivative has something to do with derivatives, tangent lines. Tapos parang nagulat ako paano nagkaroon ng paraan na yun pala yung magiging technique sa area. So we will see that later. But for now, let's think, this is an easier way, definitely. Palagay ko ayaw nyo naman mag-add ng ganito karaming rectangle, di ba? But is there an even easier way? O meron pa rin. O. So gamitin natin ang technology. Actually, in this calculator, it's very easy to find the definite integral because it's user-friendly. You just click on the definite integral symbol and then you just type in the expression. This is x. So it's easy. And the point here is, baka iniisip nyo, paano yan? Nagagawa na lahat ng calculator, paano mag-compute ng definite integral, etc. So ano pang use? Bakit pa tayo nagtuturo ng calculus? This is the reason why my talk focuses on the big ideas. Technology already allows us to do the computations, but how do we apply them to problems? Kaya kanina, di ba, I showed you some phenomena where calculus can be applied. So ganun din, nawakan pa natin ang ating pag-iisip na yung calculus, hindi lang siya pag-compute, pag-evaluate ng definite integral. What else can we do? Technology can already do this. So let's focus on other things. We can focus on higher order thinking and so on. Okay. So this is a summary of what I just said. Calculators can do many computations in calculus. So this gives us more time to focus on the big ideas of calculus. The thing is, we've been aware of the fundamental theorem all our lives. Ito nga yung sinasabi ko nung first year college ako, nagulat ako paano naging shortcut yung pagkuha ng antiderivative dun sa area. Wala siyang kinalaman para sa akin. But then, I later on discovered that there is a relationship. Okay, balik tayo sa COVID. Kasi ito, talagang ano natin to eh. Ramdam na ramdam talaga natin ang COVID. At palagay ko maintindihan natin itong graph. Okay, so I got this graph from the Department of Health. Okay, I think this is the latest, September 17. Wala pa naman data for today. So you can see here the number of cases. Like last August 4, there were 3,500 new cases and so on. Sige nga, what happens? Okay, if I add 3,536 August 4, i-add ko itong mga to. August 5, i-add ko yan, 3,000 ulit. Add ko na naman yung August 6, August 7. Okay, what happens if I add from August, saan tayo nag-start? From August 4. What happens if I add all the way up to August 10? How many days was that? August 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a week. Okay. Balikan ko I-add nyo lahat yan. What will that sum represent? Okay. So 3,500 and so on. If you add all of them, that will be the number of new cases in 1 week, particularly in the week August 4 up to August 10. Okay, tapos pansinin niyo, anong kinalaman kaya nito dun sa lesson natin kanina? Anong picture yung naaalala ninyo pag nakikita nyo itong graph na ito? Ano yung sinabi ko kanina? Tingnan, ano nga ba yung slide kanina na may mukhang may ganito? Okay. Hopefully, you thought about the rectangles. These are all rectangles. So, para pala siyang base, ito yung base niya 1 day, times height, plus height times base, puro height times base lang. Ilang height times base? 7. Okay. So, if you add all of them, you get the total number of cases. But what is the graph? The graph gives you the rate. So, dun pala, nagkaroon ng relationship yung derivative tsaka antiderivative. You're graphing the rate. It's like graphing the derivative function, di ba? So, you graph the derivative function. This is the rate of new infections. Yan o, the curve represents the rate of new infections. Okay. Paano nyo makuha yung area under? So, yung area from August 4 to August 10, ang gagawin ninyo, kunin ninyo yung antiderivative, kasi nga, this is the derivative, the rate. So, from 4 to 10, kuha kayo na antiderivative, then just substitute. So, that's the relationship between area and derivatives. All related in the fundamental theorem of calculus. So, yan. Oh, ano mangyayari ngayon? Pang-review lang. I know this is a difficult idea. If some of you learned calculus na focusing mostly on manipulations, mahirap ito. So I would encourage you to probably listen to this portion of the lecture again or maybe read. So, pero at the same time, magbigay din ako ng parang recap. So again, ano mangyayari? I-add ko lahat ng area na ito. What is the area under the curve? Pag i-add ko lahat ng rectangle, simple lang. Ang makukuha ko, ito, 276,289. Total number of cases. Kung ikunin ko yung lahat. Pero ang ginawa ko kanina, I only got the cases from August 4 to August 10. So I'm only focusing on this part of the graph. So kaya siya merong f of b minus f of a. So kumbaga f of b natin yung August 10, f of a August 4. So you just substitute whatever portion of the graph you want the number of infections. So kunwari, gusto niyo malaman, ano yung total number of what's the total number of infections in July? Di kunin niyo lahat ng portions under the curve nung July. Of course, this is an approximation. You can see that the graph does not fit precisely with the discrete data available, but that's the idea. Kahit yung tubig ninyo, ganun pa rin, i-add nyo lahat yan yung total water na na-consume nyo, ganun lang din. Diba? So, this is the graph of the rate. Area under the rate, yun yung total consume. Okay? Kahit na tumingin kayo ng download speed, this is the speed. Minsan mabilis yung speed ko, minsan medyo mabagal. Okay? If you get the area under here, imagine all of these are rectangles. If you get the area of all of these, that will be the total file size that you will hear you copied. So, ayan siya. Tapos, ito yung speed. Ayan, no, speed. It says here. 15.2 MB per second. Pero alam nyo naman na yung 15.2 MB per second, yung 15.2 MB per second, hindi naman siya laging 15.2 MB, di ba? If you have experienced copying files or downloading, hindi naman laging pareho yan. Kaya nagbabago. But what's the total amount that you copied or downloaded? That's the area. So, ayan. I urge you to revisit this idea, especially if this whole thing is new to you. Kasi maganda talaga yung calculus kung maipahiwatig natin sa mga estudyante yung relationship niya sa daily life. Unfortunately, we have only a few minutes to discuss this big idea. It took me several years to understand, di ba? So, ganon. Okay? Siguro something that will again, maybe this is simpler. So, here we have the rate of Brazilian forest loss. Unfortunately, the Amazon forest is losing trees. So, ganito karami yung trees na na-lose niya from 2004 to 2012. If I add all of them, this will be the total forest cover loss. Okay? So, again, area under the rate, that gives you the total. Yeah. And many of my ideas that I shared with you was published here in the article, Reading the World with Calculus. And students were able to appreciate na, yung math pala, hindi lang siya asking about what is 3 watermelons plus 2 watermelons. In fact, as written in this article, when I read the evaluation forms, my students realized na yung math pala can be used to analyze social issues with the aid of technology. So, ayan siya. So, this ends my portion of the talk related to calculus.
Ay, sermon.
And
sermon!
Begin the intermission.
All right, thank you very much, Doc.
Okay, everyone. So while we have a 5-minute break,
Okay.
that was so much information, right? Let's have a 5-minute break to freshen ourselves and attend to our personal needs, and we'll come back after 5 minutes.
Baby.
While waiting
Tama po.
for our break to finish, let's enjoy this video that was
Baby pa po.
prepared by Casio. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Before we proceed with our next part, which is statistics, I would like to share our guidelines for those who are new. Let me just share my screen. All right, so here are the guidelines for attending our webinar. Number one, please mute your microphone so that we can all enjoy the presentation. Number two, turn off your cameras during the presentation so that we can minimize any distractions. Number three, please hold your questions till the end of the presentation. We will inform you when the floor is now open for your questions. And number four, an evaluation form will be provided at the end of the webinar. Please fill it out so we can send you a copy of your e-certificate. Thank you, everyone. Doc, please continue. Thank you.
Okay, let me share my screen again for a while. Okay, so good morning again to all of you, and especially those who just came in. Earlier, we talked about calculus. Now we will move on to statistics. So we see here is the parallel topics, like what are the big ideas and then using technology. So first of all, what's the difference between statistics and probability? Okay, I don't think this is very much emphasized. Kasi parang lagi na lang, pag naririnig natin yung probability, may statistics and vice versa. So, paano nga ba? Okay. So, the main difference has to do with what is known. Ayan. For probability, the main question is, what is the likelihood that a sample from the population has certain characteristics? Ayan. I'll pause first para maka-load. Okay? But I have an example to make this easier to understand. O ganito na lang. Think about a drawer with 100 socks, 30 red, 20 blue, and 50 black. So may drawer. Okay. What's the probability that when we draw two socks, what's the probability that we draw 2 blue and 2 red socks? Kunwari bubunot kayo ng 4, what's the probability na yung dalawa doon blue, yung dalawa red? Okay, this is an example of a probability problem. Many other problems are possible from this situation. Pwede rin, what's the probability na pag bumunot kayo ng 3 socks, if you pull out 3 socks, what's the probability na dun sa 3 yon, you have a matching pair? Okay? Or, what's the probability that we draw 5 socks with replacement and they're all black? Okay, nagkataon black lahat. What's the probability? All of these are probability problems. And in fact, for probability problems, a common technique is to use counting or the fundamental principle of counting. So katulad nito, back to my original situation, 100 socks with different colors, what's the probability that if you draw 4 socks, 4 kukunin niyo, what's the probability that there are 2 blue and 2 red? So basically, there are combination 100 taken 4 ways of getting 4 socks out of 100. Okay? There are combination 20 taken 2 to get 2 out of the 20 blue and then 2 out of the 50 black. So the probability basically is just an expression that involves combinations. All of those are probability problems. Okay? Pero sa grade 11, maraming statistics doon. So anong pinagkaiba nung nasa grade 11? Okay. Okay. In the probability problem, we knew, alam natin na doon sa drawer, there were 30 red, 20 blue, and 50 black socks. Alam natin. Tapos magko-compute na lang tayo. But if we have no knowledge about the types of socks in the drawer, then we enter into the realm of statistics. Hindi na natin alam. Alam nyo lang, may drawer, may socks. There are socks inside. We don't know anything about the color. Pagka ganon, statistics na yun. So what kinds of problems can we solve? So, meron kayong drawer, you will get 10, okay? And then you got 1 blue, 4 red, and 5 black. Sorry, 5 black socks. Does the data indicate that the proportion of black socks in the drawer is less than 30%? So ito yung nabunot ko, less than 30% kaya yung black socks sa drawer. Tingnan nyo, parang binaliktad siya nung probability problem. In the probability problem, let me go back to that, we knew that there were 50 black socks. So 50% of the socks were black. We knew that. But for a statistics problem, hindi natin alam yan. We blindly get socks from the drawer and then we try to make inferences about the population. So, ito yung sample natin, yung 10. Tapos, based on the 10, we will try to make conclusions about the whole drawer. Nakita natin yung difference, hopefully. So, ayan siya. I'll pause first kasi I know this may take time to digest. So again, we enter into the realm of statistics. Okay, we enter into the realm of statistics where you don't know what's inside the drawer, but we get 10 socks, we get a sample. Statistics na yun. Okay. Another example just to give you the distinction. Ito, probability problem to. Suppose that a student answers a 10-item true or false test by guessing. What's the probability that the student correctly answers 7 items or more? Probability yan. Okay. Pag statistics, ganito na siya. There is a student who answered 7 items correctly. Ngayon, we can make an inference. Do you think that the student is guessing or not? Parang ganyan. Okay. There are some apps that can help us understand the big idea of statistics. This is part of the curriculum now. It wasn't before, the central limit theorem. And it's very difficult to understand. That's why I think technology will be very helpful. So I think I will have to speak more slowly kasi nga medyo lalo kung bago ito sa atin. Kailangan natin ng panahon. Okay? So I'll show you this. Okay. Apsal probably just mentioned if hindi nakita, but here you're supposed to be seeing a bell-shaped graph. Okay? So ito siya. So what does this simulation do? Okay, ganito. Meron tayong population. Ayan. Most of the values are here. Okay. Ngayon, what if we take, parang kanina, we have 100 stocks but we only took 5. Okay. Yung average kaya dito, like we have a population, there's a correct average, the mean is 16, it says here, correct average is 16. Okay. Paano pag kumuha lang kayo ng 5? Ayan o, n equals 5. If I get 5, what will be the mean? Okay, try natin. Kukuha ako ng 5. Please watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. O, kumuha ako ng 5. Yung 5 na yun, my sample of 5 has this mean. Okay. Medyo iba siya dun sa, kasi yung mean ng original banda rito. Bakit kaya magkaiba yung mean? Because we did not take the mean of the entire thing. Siyempre, pwede tayong magkamali. Nagkataon yung nakuha natin 5, banda rito sa kaliwa. So, yung mean natin, medyo napakaliwa rin. Hindi dapat sana yung tama dito. Okay, isa pa. What if we get another sample? O, yan yung mean niya. And we get another sample. Nakikita natin sana, every time you get a sample, it can result to a different sample mean. Nagkakataon nababago yung sample mean depending on which of these 5 you choose. Random lang naman yan. O, dito. Every time you get a sample of 5, you get the mean. Okay? Titingnan natin. Yung mean kaya natin, is it an accurate representation of the true mean? Okay? Ito siguro parang pwede, no? Pero ito hindi. Okay? But how confident will we be na ang makuha nating sample will be true? What if I do this 10,000 times? Pero bago yan, balikan lang natin. Ito yung ginagawa ko. Kuha lang ako ng 5, kunin ko yung mean. O yung mean niya mataas ngayon kasi banda nasa kanan. Diba nakita nyo yung sample mean? Depende talaga doon sa makuha nyong 5. Yan. Pinipindot ko lang to para makita nyo ano yung idea. So we're getting samples of 5 many times. Sometimes the sample mean is correct. Sometimes the sample mean is not correct. If we do that 10,000 times, ilang beses kaya tayong correct? Ayan. Ibig sabihin, most of the time, nandito yung mean na mako-compute natin. May times na siguro, ang malas, nakuha natin 5 banda rito. So there are times na the sample mean will be very far from the true mean. Okay. So this is the idea behind the central limit theorem. Na yung sample mean, lagi siyang nagkukumpul-kumpul banda rito towards a middle. Okay. What if our original population does not look like a bell shape but is uniform? Meaning, pata siya. There's an equal likely chance that you'll get data here, 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 or here. So, anywhere along the horizontal axis, equal chance. Kuha tayo ng 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ano yung mean niya? Ayun. Okay. Kuha tayo ng 5. Actually, even if you notice, even if you get a sample of 5, minsan overestimate, minsan underestimate. Ayan, minsan may mataas, may mababa. Pero yung mean niya, dahil nagbabalance sila, yung mean niya medyo nandito lang, di ba? So kahit na magkakalayo yung 5 ninyo, pwedeng yung mean nila nandito. Kaya, mas maganda kung makakuha kayo ng more than one kasi pag isa lang kinuha nyo, pwedeng underestimate yon. Pero pag kumuha kayo ng 5, pwedeng mabalanse. Ayan. Kuha ulit tayo. You always get samples of 5. Okay. Earlier, you noticed, when I click 10,000, naging bell shape. Okay. Tingnan natin what if I do this 10,000 times? Yung pagkuha nitong 5. I get 5. I get another 5 na dadagdagan. Okay. If I do that 10,000 times, ito siya. Surprisingly, even if the original population does not have a normal distribution, yung sample means niya, yung mga means na kinompute natin, the means will become normal. More so if you have 30. So, pag 30, pag kumuha kayo ng 30, ayan. Kuha lang tayo 30. Kaya sinasabi sa statistics, kuha kayo ng marami, mga 30. Ito yung itsura nun. Para yung mean ninyo, nandyan. Kuha ulit tayo ng 30. Huwag lang 5. Isa pa, para mapaisip pa tayo. 30, kuha ulit tayo ng 30. Tingnan niyo yung mean, no? Laging halos magkakatabi lang. Even if you get very varied data points, the sample mean will just be close together. If I do that 10,000 times, andito siya. You're confident that the sample mean that you will get will be here. So that's the power of the central limit theorem. It's very surprising na kahit na anong klase yung distribution nyo sa umpisa, pag dating dito, the sample means is always bell-shaped, always normal. Okay? Assuming that you have a large value of n. So that's the demonstration. Another demonstration is this. Let me just show you very quickly if I have it here. Ayan. Sige, I'll just show you using the PowerPoint. Okay, you can explore on your own. So what did I just show you earlier? Okay, any population, whether normal or not, diba nakita nyo whether kahit yung pantay lang yung uniform, yan. If you select n observations from this population, yung sample mean niya, medyo nagkukumpul-kumpul lang din. Okay? If n is sufficiently large, then the sampling distribution is approximately normally distributed. So with mean, mu, and standard deviation, sigma over square root of n. So going back, this is what I mean. Okay? Even if the original population, ano sabi dyan? Whether normal or not, yung kinompute nyong mean, nandito lang yan siya. Okay? So, X bar will be normally distributed and actually, most of them will cluster around the correct mean. Ayan siya. Okay, so more examples. Kasi kanina ang pinakita ko example yung ganito. Skewed. I also showed you yung uniform like this. Okay, what if you have this distribution? If you take a sample of 3, hindi pa siya mukhang normal. Kaya nga sinasabi sa statistics, get larger sample para mas maging accurate yung sample mean. Okay. Okay. So if you just take 3, the sample means can be all over the place. Okay. If you get a sample of 10, ayun na. Medyo ano na siya, bell shape. If you get a sample of 30, this is what you get. Most of the time, your sample means will be clustered around here. So, that's the central limit theorem. Okay? Paano ko yung sample ninyo nandito? Okay? Meaning, at a certain level of significance, it means that probably the original mean is not correct. So, we'll go more into that later. But, ito lang yung idea niya. Okay? Kahit ano yung distribution niya, if you take a sample of 1, ganito. If you take a sample of 3, yung mean ninyo pwedeng mataas, pwedeng mababa yung mean. Pero pag tinaasan nyo yung sample, ayan, wala nang mataas at saka mababa. Pag, this is just a sample of 10. Paano kung sample nyo 30? Wala na, halos wala nang mataas, mababa, nandito na lahat ng sample mean. That's the reason why, again, in statistics, we use kunwari, we use some of the statistical tests only if n is greater than or equal to 30. Ayan. So going back to that, okay, this is the normal curve. Okay, approximately 68% of the values are here. Okay, 95% are here approximately, and 99.7% are here. Okay. So the central limit theorem states that the standard deviation is sigma over square root of n. So ayan. So so whatever is your mean plus sigma over square root of n, to standard deviation is 3. Yan siya. So sigma over square root of n. Balikan natin ito mamaya. Okay. What happens if your computed x bar is here? It means probably mali itong pwesto ng ating mu. So yan yung sinasabi natin, there is evidence to suggest that mu is not equal to mu naught at the 5% level of significance. Labas na kasi siya sa 95% ito. 5% chance lang kasi na nandito yung mean, oh. Tapos yan yung mean na nakuha ninyo. So there is evidence to suggest na hindi ito yung gitna. Ayun siya. So that's what we mean by level of significance. Again, if this is the correct of the time, nandito lang dapat yung mean na nakas. Evidence yan na baka mali ito. So, yun. So, I'll pause first. This is, medyo yun nga. Now, let's go to statistical tables. Okay, many of you who are teaching statistics are familiar with appendices. Lahat halos ng statistics book, merong appendix sa likod. Okay. But actually, kahit walang kunwari mga estudyante ko, walang table. Pero pag may calculator sila, pwede natin magamit yon. So I'll show you how. Okay. So again, I want to connect to real life. So I actually searched research about COVID. May bagong research lumabas na about incubation. Na how long does it take for your symptoms if you are COVID-19 positive? How long does it take for symptoms to appear? Masyadong this is a very important thing to know kasi, 'di ba, may mga ibang tao hindi nila alam may COVID na pala sila, or baka tayo hindi natin alam may COVID tayo, lakad tayo ng lakad sa labas. Some people actually develop symptoms only after 14 days. Kaya 'di ba, ang quarantine natin 14 days. So, nag-search ako I searched information about COVID. Tapos ito, based on the article, the average incubation time is 5.08 days. So, I urge you, if you have paper, please write this down. So, yung 5.08, yan yung average incubation period. Maganda rin malaman natin, di ba? 5 days. Siguro mga 5 days may symptoms na ako dapat after ko ma-expose. Parang ganyan. And then, suppose that the standard deviation is 0.18. So, SD is 0.18. Now, a contact tracer identifies 30 persons exposed to a COVID-19 patient and records their incubation time. Find the approximate probability that the incubation time is between 5.04 and 5.08 days. So, ang average incubation time is 5.08. Pero ang tinatanong dito is, what's the probability na yung sample mean, yung 30 people, again, yung 30 people, imagine nyo yung kanina, yung graph ko yung nahuhulog. 30 people, kunin yung incubation time nilang lahat, i-average nyo yun. What's the probability na yung average nila is between 5.04 and 5.08 days? Okay, so balik tayo dito. Kung hindi natin naintindihan kanina, hopefully ito baka mas maintindihan natin. Substitute nyo. Yung mean natin is 5.08, yan yung incubation time. Sigma is 0.18. N is 30 kasi we identified 30 people. Ayan. So substitute nyo lang. Substitute 5.08 here. 0.18 divided by square root of 30. Ayan. So, isa-isayin nyo lang. Ito, 5.08 plus 2 times sigma, which is 0.18, over square root of n, 30, and so on, you will get this. So substitute lang kayo. Ayan. So 5.08 here. Ayan. So basically, we just substituted values. Ano nakakita nyo? If we have 30 people, approximately 68% of the time, yung mako-compute nating incubation period, 68% yung mako-compute nating incubation period is between 5.047 and 5.113. Okay. About 95% of the time, the computed mean of the 30 people will be between 5.014 and 5.146. Okay. But what was the question again? The question was 5.04 to 5.08. So ito siya banda, 5.04 to 5.08. How will we use a calculator and even the statistics tables at the back of the book to answer this question? But I always urge my students also, kasi minsan, ano tayo, compute lagi, compute. We should also know if our answers are reasonable. Tingnan nyo lang 68% ito. 68% yung mala, 5.047 to 5.113. So ang kalahati ng 68%, 34. So 34% sana to. Kaya lang lumagpas ka ng konti kasi the question is 5.04 not 5.047. So this portion here is probably a bit larger than 34%. So again, ito 68 yung buo. Ang kalahati, 34. Kaya lang lumagpas to ng konti dito. So we expect probably higher than 34%. Okay, so let's compute. So if you're teaching statistics, you know this formula, etc., etc. Then you look for it in the statistics table. Okay, so negative 1.217 is our z value. So look for it along the z value. Negative 1.2, walang 2.22 na lang gamitin natin. So negative 1.22. And then we have this, 0.1112. This is the probability na less than 5.04. Okay. Pag probability na less than 5.08, syempre, 0 lang naman yun. Madali lang, 0.5. Okay? Diba? 5.08, di probability na less, di 50% talaga, 0.5. So, anong meaning nun? Dito, left of 5.08, 0.5. Left of 5.047, ano yung na-compute natin? 1112. So, again, from here to the left, 0.5. Here to the left, 0.1112. So to get this one, the difference, then we compute. Let's subtract. 0.5000 minus 0.112 is 0.388. So that is using the textbook, the table at the back of the textbook. You can also use your calculator. Okay, so you go to distribution. Okay? Sige, tingnan natin. So here. Let's go to distribution. Okay? And then normal cumulative distribution. Okay? Our question was 5.04. 5.04. Upper is 5.08. Okay? Our sigma was 0.18 divided by square root of 30. Yeah. And then our mean was 5.08 equals, okay, 0.3882. If you compare this with the answer from the table, it's 0.3888. So ito na yan siya, 0.39 or something. The difference probably is because of this. Kasi negative 1.217, kinuha lang natin yung negative 1.22. For a better approximation, siguro ano pa tayo interpolate. But mas tama actually yung nasa sa calculator. Yun din ang advantage ng calculator. It will give you the exact value because here we're using 1.22 when we should use 217. So, yan. Lalabas yung sagot sa calculator. Pinakita ko kanina 0.3882 and so on. Okay. O, para maalala nyo, di ba, pwede tayong mag-QR code. So, I just click Shift. Ayan, para makita nyo na. So, Shift, Option. This is the QR code. When you click on that, okay, sige. Those with smartphones, please scan the QR code in front of you. Okay, so if you scan that QR code, you will be brought to the Casio website. You will see the input and then the p-value and then the distribution. So there. So that ends the session. So before that, because I know we talked about so many things and some of them concern, you know, very big concepts, di ba? Medyo mahirap pa yan i-digest. So again, I urge you to go back to those portions or probably to even explore further. Kasi please take this webinar as a chance to see what else you can explore out there. Kasi marami talaga. What I want to do now is to give a summary of what we did to organize everything. So first, the big ideas of calculus and statistics are not just about being good in computation or manipulation. Calculators can already do those for you. Diba? In fact, some computations are meaningless. Those who were present at the start of my talk, di ba? Marunong tayo kumuha ng derivative nito, yung pala walang graph. So some computations are meaningless. Instead, what I want to encourage you to think about is big ideas of calculus and statistics can be represented in many ways. There are several representations. Yun, the word, representations. Maraming paraan mag-represent ng big ideas. One is through a real-life situation. So we had COVID examples in this talk. Diba? We have tables. Okay? And technology can actually help with those representations. We also have graphs. Ayan. Note that all of these representations are facilitated by technology. These are not easy to do by hand. Okay. Technology can also offer dynamic representations. The central limit theorem, for example, is very difficult, but if you actually see the things falling, di ba yung lima, medyo mas madali siyang maintindihan. So, that concludes my presentation, and I think there might